all the links are in the description. So on here on Facebook at God Love Order and Wisdom, with our page Go Stars, as well as YouTube, and on TikTok at glow.star7. So you make sure you're getting the latest videos and information for us. Also, you can reach us by email at glowstars101@gmail.com. So to get into today's message, guys, and so the title of our message today is Don't Let the Giants Defeat You. So don't let the giants defeat you. So, we always have a scriptural foundation for our messages. So mine today is coming from Deuteronomy 20, verses 3 and 4. That's Deuteronomy 20, verses 3 and 4. And it says, He shall say, Hear, Israel, today you are going to battle against your enemies. Do not be faint hearted or afraid. Do not panic or be terrified by them, for the Lord your God is the one who goes with you to fight for you against your enemies to give you victory. And in Deuteronomy, they're talking about actually physically going to battle, obviously. But from our specific standpoint, from a biblical and mental health standpoint, giants can literally be anything in your life that you need to defeat. And what I love about this scripture, as it's preparing them for battle, is telling them that you're not doing this alone. So you're not going into battle with just you, the man, the flesh, and whatever weapons that you prepared yourself with. That God is going to literally fighting beside you, and in most of our cases, going up in front of us to defeat these battles for us and on our behalf. And so, as we are going through life, the giants that we have in our life could be depression, it could be failed relationships, it could be battling the things in our mental health and in our mind, it could be debt, financial woes, divorce, death. All of these things can be giants in your life if you allow it to have power and take over you. And even in that sense, because we don't always choose our battles, right? Sometimes they just come to us based off of circumstances. And so even when we're in the midst of the battle, we have the tools to defeat it. With guided therapy, you can literally defeat these giants in your life so that you're not bound to this, or you're not constantly being defeated. And so in First Samuel, it talks about David and Goliath. I believe it's First Samuel 17. In that chapter, it talks about how David was chosen for this battle. Everybody knows the story. He was able to defeat Goliath with a slingshot. And so my team and I were talking about this morning. I said the slingshot actually just represents his faith in God. Because we know even biblical times say obviously went to battle with more than just a slingshot, right? But this shows you that with God, anything is possible, because anybody that saw him going into battle during that time in biblical times was like, what is David doing? But they didn't have faith beyond what they could see with the physical eye, with the natural eye. So when he goes into battle, he knew that God had already told him that he had already defeated this giant. And so he went in with the faith that God was there before him and that this battle was already completed. All he had to do was just complete it in the natural, which is what he did, and defeated that giant. So I'm gonna hand it over to my team to really more elaborate on this idea of defeating the giants in our life. Ladies.
Yeah. Oh, I was just going to say, to add to what you were saying about David and Goliath, to understand that David had already been in preparation, because he was already had to fight the lion and the bear in the field. And so I feel like that is what happens to us a lot of times. We've been prepared for battles, but we don't believe that we already have the tools to defeat other things that we come up against. I know for a lot of us, we're trying to overcome and fight the giant of poverty, the giant of lack, and things like that. And so just understanding who we are and who God had equipped us to be able to stand and fight those things, and to be the one to break those giants, make them fall. So now we walk into something new in a new area of life, and so giants are big, and they're big for a reason. But just because you see it doesn't mean that you have to now allow your mind to be overwhelmed enough to where you can't now push through and go defeat the giant. I know a lot of times it can be scary. There's a lot of fear that comes with having to be the one to fight the giant, but at the same time, understanding that God did not give us a spirit of fear, but a power of love and a sound mind. And understanding we are equipped, we have the tools, and everything we need is on the inside of us. We know that the word says that one can put 1,000 to flight and two can put 10,000 a flight. So just using, and utilizing what we have and what we know. But we know that oftentimes when we get in battles, the strategy we were given, we sometimes forget, and so we have to remind ourselves, encourage ourselves that we can't, allow what we see to defeat us. It's important for us to also know who we have on our team fighting with us, as well, to defeat the giants. Everybody sees something different, right? Life could look very similar to for most people, but you have one that will stand, you have one that may retreat, and you have one that won't even show up to the battle. So we
That's
have to
good.
make sure that we're surrounded, by people that will show up to the fight with us. That we understand that there's more fighting for us than there are against us.
It's good.
Tatiana got me over here smiling. That was really good. I just want to talk about David on the standpoint of when you're chosen. Um, a lot of times we're fighting giants that have been in our families for generations and nobody won. And
Mhm.
so this is a time in our generation where when it comes to us, we win. um what Tatiana was kind of saying, when you study a battle, when you study a fight, when you know people have dealt with these certain things, what I'm looking at is what they didn't do, and that's exactly what David did. And on top of that, a lot of times when where we're fighting this generation, we're not bringing God into the battle with us. We're thinking of our own strength, but David didn't do that. When David said he knew, first of all, his own skill, he had been preparing, what Tatiana said. But on top of that, he knew a God that had never failed him. He had defeated lions, he had defeated bears with a slingshot, which was his faith. I think it's important that we get back to that, because a lot of times, what Tatiana was saying, when you're in a battle, when you're facing something, it's that spirit of fear that comes over us. It's something that's going trying to intimidate you, right? Goliath was big, and they thought to themselves, this little old David, how can he defeat this big thing?
Mhm.
But David had to have a spirit, a powerful spirit, a powerful mind, a made up mind on this point. I'm going to defeat the giant that took everybody out. So I know I'm sharing and I'm speaking this to someone that may be facing something that seems impossible. And Darnisha said this: with God, all things are possible. Who are you going to war with? Who are you taking into battle with you? That is how you defeat a giant. If God is all powerful, that means that you are powerful. And
Mhm.
don't let the enemy defeat you. And it starts in your mind.
Yeah.
Great. We talked a lot about the mind yesterday, but I think that's great. Having God literally taking you through those processes starts with the mind, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, you know, we as athletes, a lot of that starts there in the mind, right? And I've literally been in races where it was I'm in my head. I'm like, come on, let me get through this. But when we're in these battles of life, we have to have God with us. We can't defeat these battles without having Him on our side. We're going to come across things that are well beyond what we can do in the natural. There is no way that we can do it. The only person who can is God and God Himself. And so we have to develop a mind frame of calling on Him for everything. So
Mm-hmm.
not just for when we get to the huge battles of life, but even in those small stances of life, because then we develop a habit of calling on Him instead of
Yes.
making it difficult to call on Him when we at the weakest of points, when we at the where we can't do anything, we've exhausted all we can do in the natural. If we do that on our daily lives, even for the small stuff, then it's easy to go to Him when the big stuff comes because you're already doing it. And so what we find as therapists is that people only seek it out when they at their wits end, when they exhausted everything, when they realize they can't do anything else. But had they came when those issues were small and we were able to get through those things, by the time they got to the bigger battles of life, they knew how to fight them. And so that's what we implore people as therapists is that don't wait till things are so bad, so it's such a disconnect. You know these things are an issue. We generally as humans will wait till they so bad so we don't have a choice. It's the same thing with a physical doctor, right? You know this is the issue. You need to change some things, and now you're sitting on this table when you could have went when they were smaller. So even when these giants come, because it's again, I always say it's not an if they come because it's a when because they're going to come. You have to prepare yourself even prior to that. Like they mentioned about David, about him preparing, about him going through those battles with the lion and the bear, and knowing that if I could defeat this, in which was smaller than Goliath, because Goliath was much bigger than the lion and the bear he defeated. If I can do this, then I can do the bigger stuff, right? And so we need to look at our lives from that standpoint. What small things have I been putting by the waistband that I know I need to really defeat and I really need to start making changes and I've let slide by the wayside uh, that need to be taken care of now instead of waiting to one of these huge situations come and I'm defeated. I don't know what to do. I'm at a loss and I'm at my wit's end. Those battles are so much harder to fight at that point. And so we're wanting to see it from your life stance before it gets to the point before you get to your Goliath.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good.
I was just
Well, I was
go
just
ahead. Go ahead. Nope, you good, Gail. Go.
such a gentleman. Thank you, Tatiana. No, I just wanted to add to that. When you were talking about preparing, right? And I think that's really important to stand for from a mental health perspective. We've been pushing, don't wait what you said to you in a crisis. And then it's like, help me out. We get it every day. Clients panicking, clients in distress. Clients don't know what to do because they don't have the tools. The important reason why we're pushing G.L.O.W is to give you the tools because, like what Darnisha said, it's not a matter of if something is going to happen. It's a matter of when for us all. All of us that's listening, all of us in this world, we face a common enemy that is doing whatever he can to take us out. So it's not just one giant. It's not going to be just one battle that we're going to have to fight. We're going to fight till we die. With that being said, though, just like with David, he was preparing. So I think back on my life, all the battles I've had to overcome, it helps me, it strengthens me for bigger fights, if that makes sense. My muscles have gotten bigger, my mental strength has gotten bigger, my soul has gotten stronger, my spirit has gotten stronger to come against anything because I'm like, God, if you got me through something like this, I know you're gonna get me through something like that. It's preparation. Darnisha's scripture yesterday about being fit in your mind, being fit in your body, being fit in your soul and your spirit is truly important. Um, don't wait until you weak. And then this is the lion, God just said this, the lion seeks whom he can devour. If you're weak, like you a cub, that's you the first person he coming after. But if you strong mentally, spiritually, emotionally, he gonna know that he gonna have a fight on his hands, and that's just what it is. Would you rather an enemy come at you when you weak, or you ready for it? You strong. Goes back a little bit to just our word. It's time to make those things a priority because we all about to face a battle, whether we believe this or not, that we don't even know what's coming. I would rather, God is saying, prepare for the giants right now. Defeat the giants that's in your life.
Yes. I was just gonna say, even going back to the children of Israel, he promised them the promised land. And during that time, there were 12 spies that were sent out. And the only two that came back with the report that the land could be taken was Joshua and Caleb. And so knowing that, there were 12 of them and only two saw, seeing what it was. Of course, they talked about the giants being in the land and all the things, but only two came back with the promised land. back with a positive report. So once again, it goes back to you got to know who you got on your team, and you got to know, the covering that you have and who's behind you, who's your backing, in this time. And also understanding too, even if you have tools, let's say not all the same tool does not work for each season. So understanding, okay, I may need to get some new arsenal in my in my weaponry. I need to get some new tools. I need to learn some new things. I don't know everything. And obviously, if it's not working now, then I need to try something different. A lot of times we're afraid to try something new. A lot of times we, retreat because it's just like, I don't want to do this. I'm tired of doing this. But if we don't actually walk through it, then we can't get to the other side. So if they didn't go and they didn't give the good report, then guess what? The children of Israel would have never crossed over to the promised land. They would have settled and they would have died off as well. So you got to know who's fighting for you. You got to know who's looking out for you. You got to know what you carry and what you have. Utilize the strengths that you have, grow in the areas that you need to grow in, but most definitely continue to enhance the strengths. I feel like it's just going to be important just to stay strong mentally in this season, as hard it may be, as hard as it may seem, just with everything that is transpiring with inflation, so on and so forth. And so you want to make sure that you're continuing to get into the right position to be able to receive the things that you need to defeat the giants.
Absolutely. I want to add to that in my spirit. Just a couple weeks ago, we were talking about battle buddies. And so a
Yeah.
friend of ours was talking about how important it is the people you choose to be on your team. And so it made me think about Jesus and his disciples, right? So his
Yeah.
disciples went everywhere with him. His disciples were able to see his miracles he performed and all of that. And they were able to obviously give accounts. But Jesus was also there for accountability, right? He even knew who was going to deny him, right? Because he knew who he had in his corner. And so having people that are your battle buddies and are accountable for you allows you to see things outside of yourself. Right? When we're living in that, when we're facing these giants, it's hard for us to see anything that what we actually see in front of us. If you have adequate battle buddies, they can able to see things that you may not be able to see because you're actually going through the battle. And so having battle buddies is going to be really important during this season, and knowing who they are, who can actually go to battle with you, and who cannot. Like I said, Jesus even knew his disciples, but he also knew who was going to deny him when the time came. You need to know there's people that can walk with you. Take those steps when it's hard for you to take those steps. Pray for you when it's hard for you to pray for yourself. You know what I'm saying? Come lend a hand. If they can't hand you money, they can come there and take the load off and help you. You need to know who those people are, and they do it out of the kindness of their heart and who they are and who God has called them to be, and not to ask for anything in return, which I think is important because
Yeah.
people will use you if you allow them to. And so people who genuinely want to see you win and who genuinely want to help you when sometimes we're in our toughest moments in life. So choosing good battle buddies is going to be paramount in this season of your life, because God didn't create us to do everything alone.
Right.
No.
He literally created Eve because he said man should not be alone.
Yep.
So he knows that he didn't create us to do life by ourselves. So even if that's just friendship, because all of us currently aren't married. So a lot of times that's what our friendships look like. That's what close family members look like for those that have those. So choosing your battle buddies is going to be important when you're going through these battles of life, when you're having to defeat these giants of life. Everybody can't go with you. Everybody is not going to be able to battle for you. Some people going to straight leave you on the line. You're going to be sitting there looking to your left and your right. It ain't going to be nobody there but you and God.
Facts.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
facts.
So you got to know who's in your corner.
Yeah, I was gonna say covering is real. You gotta have
Mm-hmm.
a real
Mm-hmm.
covering. And I'm saying that because I'm grateful to my apostle for the covering, that she gives most definitely, and for her truly being spirit led, and for her being able to see and hear, and for her really following God. I'm so grateful, and I'm just saying that because in life, you know what I'm saying? Even though I'm a therapist, but that means what to the enemy? Absolutely nothing. But just having someone that, will not let me give up even in times where I felt like I wanted to, and just have, like I said, just having the right cover, having the right people around, because people, see on social media, they see, even though I may not post that much, people still see the version of you that they want to see, on social media, right? And so, or the version that you're giving them to see. But those private battles are the ones that are most important, because nobody knows what you're fighting. And so if you don't, talk to God, if you don't talk to the people that are close to you, then, you're fighting these things alone and in silence. And that's where the enemy wants to come in and keep you isolated and, keep everything in your mind. And then this is why we see the mass suicides. This is why we see the mass genocide situations with the school shootings and so on and so forth. And so, serial killer, you just think about all those things. Everything that people are doing, it's because their minds have been taken over. If somebody, even abusive relationships, if a person takes your mind, then everything
else is going to follow.
Yes, and everything you will do exactly, even though you may even be in survival mode, you don't ever see yourself getting out. You just continue to wake up and live to survive. And so it's time to come out of surviving. It's time for us to defeat these giants from the offensive stance. It's time for us to stand up to the things that we don't want to face, or the things that are actually looking us right in the face. It's time for us to look in the mirror. It's time for us to see that it's more to us than just waking up and getting what we want out of life. Oh, it's just about me, and the thing about it is, the people that are the most selfish people are the ones that are hurting the most.
Mm-hmm.
That's good. That is true.
That is true. That is, we've definitely seen that from a therapeutic standpoint. Those unwilling to unwaver from anything they've done before, they're not open to seeing things another way, and it's about them. It's not about anybody else. It's not about how they can serve. It's not about how they can prove. It's all about them. And God is not a selfish God, right? He's definitely not. He gives us grace. We don't even do anything for that. Because he knows that we're going to need it, right?
Yeah.
And so you have to get out of the mindset of feeling like everything is about you, because there's usually always a bigger meaning to that.
Yeah.
Always.
And it's always a bigger meaning to why you're fighting this battle.
Absolutely.
You might be in a fight, and I say this a lot. I've even said this to myself. I don't take it personally anymore. If I know I've been on the right track, I'm doing everything, and the fight comes to me, then I'm just gonna stand up to the fight. I was gonna say, growing up, if you listen and you knew me, I was in a clique called the Gorillas. And the funny thing about it, though, even though we wasn't doing the best of things, we could fight. And so I didn't have no weak people on my team, and that's what it was. Like, if I knew somebody didn't like me, or a clique of chicks didn't like me, I got my friends. We ready to go. I never worried about a fight because I knew we was gonna win. We never lost. And so that's the same thing when you think about the spirit. As adults, as believers, as the body of Christ, I don't want nobody on my team that's weak. I was just telling my dad that last night, my stepdad. If I'm in the issue, and my focus is I'm gonna win, I don't want nobody around me thinking negative. I've dealt with a lot of issues, even health problems. And I cut off people around me that spoke negative about it. Because if I said I'm gonna beat it, I'm gonna beat it. I beat it. And that's what it was. When you go into a fight, your mind better be made up. No matter how long they swinging, I'ma swing too. And this is a fight. Life is a fight. Life is a battle, and you have to be equipped. But what Darnisha and Tatiana just said, who around you is so important. I don't want weak-minded people around me, because I know the battles I be facing. So if we in this battle, we in it together, and defeat ain't an option. Jesus wasn't defeated. God has never been defeated. So in that mindset, I'm not going to ever lose. I win. And I don't care how long it takes to get the win. I'm going to win. So think about that, y'all. People that are listening, you looking at these giants. First of all, you ain't fighting them by yourself. And then secondly, what your team look like. If this is a war, you better be looking at the people around you, like what Tatiana said or Darnisha. I don't want nobody, as soon as they see a giant, they running. That's what happened with the Israelites. 12 people. Only 2 people said, yeah, we can win. So that guess who got to the promised land? Those 2 people. Those were the only 2 people out of their generations to obtain the promise. So if God has promised you something, but then you seeing this, maybe you fighting a medical issue, maybe it's cancer, something like that, and the doctor say there ain't nothing you can do but chemo, but God has said that you're healed. Your mind needs to already be going to, I'm healed no matter what I have to walk through. I was telling the client yesterday, I don't have my bottle top, but I was thinking about like my glass case. And in your mind, you going through something, you fighting a giant, and this is this glass case, and your mind saying, "Oh, it's red," but really it's brown. And then your mind say it's orange, but really it's brown. What color is the glass case? It's brown. So that means make up your mind. I don't care what your mind say. I don't care what the reports say. If it's brown, it's brown. If I win, I win. And this is how you defeat a giant. Your
Also,
mind has to be made up. Go ahead.
most definitely. No, I was just gonna say real quick. Also, understanding that, like we talked about, 12 was sent out, but only 2 came back with a good report, right? So that means I don't need a lot of people around me
Facts.
to be
Exactly.
strong or whatever. I don't
That
need
is
to
a good point, Tatiana.
everybody
Small
you
is
encounter.
better.
Everybody you encounter is not your friend. Everybody you encounter
Mhm.
does not have good intentions for you. So we
Absolutely.
have to be smart enough, and we also have to make sure that we're asking for discernment. We have to
Yes,
also
yes,
make sure
yes.
that we're making wise decisions. If it's okay to disclose something, but if you don't know, don't disclose it.
Mhm.
Or whatever. Everybody that knows me, I've always just had, it's just been a small group of people that I have always had around me my entire life. I've not ever been one to have a lot of women around me. Mm-mm. Okay.
Yeah.
And so I and it's been like that. I feel like God has just been very strategic. It's like he gives me a group of friends, as far as like, it's like 3 of us, right? And then like he may add, and it's like he'll group me with another 3, but he's never like just allow a whole bunch of people in the exact same place to just be around me or me to be around them at one time. Even with my teammates, I love them, as far as like that, but as far as to have a real friendship, I knew still who my real friends were.
Mhm.
And like we could do stuff as teammates, and I'm gonna make sure that I support you and everything. But when at the end of the day, I'm not calling you for everything. I know who I can call on, you know what I'm saying? And it's just like, hey, I want to see everybody that has been on my teams in the past win. But I know even now, God has shown me, like, hey, this is your team. This is most definitely who's going to be for you and who you need to keep around you. And just because we were on a team 20 years ago doesn't mean that our relationship is the same 20 years later. So
Absolutely.
we got to just be aware how growth looks. We just have to be aware and mindful that we can't take everybody, where we're going.
Absolutely. I think that's it's an important aspect as we're understanding what battle looks like. I think we can all agree that, I mean, collectively we know a lot of people, but very few people know a lot of aspects about my life. I mean, I've even had people tell me like, "Dang, you real private." I am. I'm very strategic about that. I think it's important I understand that when you put things out in the atmosphere to certain people, that can affect you spiritually, because
Mhm.
everybody doesn't always have a good intention. And I'm not saying those people were going to intentionally hurt me, but if God don't tell me to say it, I don't say it. So I've always been. I learned. Actually, I tell this all the time. When you're in college, there's a lot of people around, a lot of rumors, a lot of things going around. I learned in undergrad that I remain very private. Being around that amount of people who had a lot of opinions about your decisions and what you did because people were talking annoyed me. And what I realized is that a lot of people had a lot of opinions, but they did not know Darnisha.
Yeah.
After having that experience in undergrad for those 5 years, I said, nobody will ever know. I will be very kept about the things that are important in my life. in the things that I do and whom I choose to do those things with in my life, because everybody's going to have an opinion, even though they don't know you.
Yeah.
And so God has really even continually to grow me up in that, to where I don't share certain things. It's not out of disrespect for those people. It's just that God has told me that everybody doesn't need to know exactly every part of your journey. And that's okay. And that is absolutely 100% okay. So we need to understand that as we're looking for our battle buddies, that everybody doesn't have the greatest attention. Everybody can't help you. Everybody don't want to help you.
Yeah. I was just gonna say, speaking over the battles, I just remember a time period in my life where I was going through heavy things, losing a child, going through a divorce, and having so many people around. So I was different. Like what Tatiana said, Tatiana Darnisha was smart. But I had so many people around me. Life had to teach me. If it was 20 people around me at that time, only two people really encouraged me, truly had my back. Now, everybody in your face gonna be like, oh, I'm for you. But in the background, they made my battle bigger, if that makes sense. So what I was trying to battle in private, the more people knew, the more people talking, like what Darnisha said. I'm not only battling the loss of my son, divorce, and everything that was going on there. Now I'm battling the streets. I'm battling the gossip. Now I'm battling the people that spread the gossip. You know how a mess that was? I thank you, God. I thank God to this day that I overcome. But when I started to overcome, when I got quiet, when I separated myself, when I started doing the work and I got around people that encouraged me, that loved me, that truly, truly knew me and wanted me to win. I think that's an important aspect when we're talking about the defeating the giants and who you have around you. Although I was with a lot of people, it was my team that I could call on the phone, my church home, my pastor at the time, Pastor Layla, the people that were strong in their faith that got me through something like that. Nobody around me at the time could coach me through a child loss, could coach me through going through a divorce, and then my oldest son's child dying. 3 deaths pretty much within 3 years. How do you make it through something like that? I was fighting against the giants of loss and taking hits after hits. People around me like, what does she do? How about sometimes you don't got to be nothing? God actually chooses you to go through these things. And so first I had to understand, man, everything I went through wasn't even personal. For me to be standing right here now and where my team is going, I know that the enemy was trying to defeat me in 2014. And so what you think he gonna do now? His job is to stop us. But what Darnisha said, I got around some strong people that were mentally. I got around some real people that they didn't see my mess as a gossip. And let me talk about her. Let me go and tell about this and this and that. They understood warfare is real. Enemy been trying to take you out. Let's fight. So when you in these battles, the minute if people are gossiping to you, they gossiping about you. Learned it. Had to figure that one out. And I don't let people come to me with mess no more. I cut that off. You can't really talk to me about another person's stuff because you don't know the plan over that person's life. You don't know why they fighting a battle. They might have did do something, or maybe the enemy just trying to take them out. So as the body of Christ, I think this is a good message on defeating battles. Leave people alone when you know they're going through stuff, because you don't know why they even fighting it.
Yeah, and you got to remember that scripture that the enemy comes to kill, steal, and destroy. And so, yeah, we understand physical death, but it could be killing your dreams, killing
Yeah.
your destiny. You know what
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying? It could be stealing your joy, taking your money. You know what
Right.
I'm saying? All of these things, and literally to destroy your life. So we have to understand it from this that standpoint that, and we know he goes for the people that are strong, because what he wants to do is to make us weak again.
Yeah.
Um, so that's why it's important to have people around you that can uplift you, because when you're not strong, they strong. You see what I'm saying? And they can uplift you, and they can get your mind back right and on back on the right track. And so it's important that we understand that aspect of going through these battles, because you got to understand what his job is. That's what he does. That's his whole goal. And it's hard not to make it personal because when you're going through that, it's
Mm-hmm.
hard not to make it personal. But when you give it to God,
It ain't personal no
it ain't
more.
personal no more. Like
Like
it ain't
you
about me no more because
fighting.
I done gave that struggle to God. So it ain't even on me no more. It's on him. You know what I'm saying? But
Mm-hmm.
that's the hardest thing. That's the hardest thing when you're having to physically walk that out.
Yes, that's true.
It's tough.
Yeah.
It's tough, but it's necessary. All of us that had to walk out certain things and situations, when we were going through it, we were like, "Man, this is crazy. Man, this why this got to be me? Like, I don't understand." But when we got on the other side of that, we had to thank God and be like, "Okay, I get what you were trying to do. I couldn't see it in the midst of walking through it in while I was going through it, but I understand where you wanted me to go now." And so, having that support allows you to make it a little easier. I mean, the simple analogy is like if you got a couch and I pick up this couch by myself and ain't nobody on the other end, that weight is so heavy.
Mm-hmm.
It's so heavy, and I probably ain't moving too fast. I'm probably moving at less than a snail's pace. But if somebody is on the other end of that couch, somebody in the middle holding it up, man, walking through that journey becomes so much more easier. And then in the midst of those three people, I got God that's lifting the couches off of the three of us. And
Yes.
now I'm able to walk through this journey so much easier. So
Yeah.
it's important that we recognize that as we're going through these battles of life and having to defeat these giants that come into there. Yeah.
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 So I think that's important. One thing I want to say to just those out there listening is we always talk about urgency, and it's important that we continue to talk about this because it's important to know that the time is now. But also, there's nothing too hard. I think people think they're so deep into their situations that they can't come out of them. But I want to implore that no matter how deep you are in your situation, no matter how deep you are into your sin, no matter how long you've been doing it, no matter how long you sat on the sidelines and let yourself get whatever way you get,
Mm-hmm.
that that God is the restorer and he doesn't matter how long it's been, that he can help you get out of it. We can help you, give you the tools along with biblical principles to help you get out of it. There's nothing that you're currently in if you're willing to do the work,
Yeah.
if you're willing to do the work that you cannot get out of. And so we see a lot in therapy that people are, I done already did this and I've been doing so long. I've been in, taking this stuff in this marriage for 10 years. So, I mean, what's the point? It's been this bad for X, Y, and Z long. Well, it doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
At the time doesn't matter to God. If you're willing to do the work, he can restore you.
Amen.
Yeah. That's good.
Well, that was good, Darnisha. I just wanted to piggyback off that and saying kind of what you said, what I understood and how I studied the Bible, I looked at every character in the Bible and how they were facing something. And first they had to look within themselves. But I want to tell you what I thank God about God and therapy is everyone saw the strength within them when they identified that they couldn't do it on their own. Paul says, in my weakness, I was made strong. And I love that because in times where I have been like, I don't know how I'm going to do this, I did it. That built my strength. It's like lifting weights. First, you might start at a 5. You might can't even lift 5. Then you lift a 10. Like I'm working out now. I'm up to 35, almost 40. I'll be like, I'm doing this. This is now Darnisha Tatiana, the athlete. I don't like lifting weights, running, nothing. I'm doing it. You don't know your strength until you face something. So I don't even look at the things that I walk through and things like that anymore, like as a sign of weakness for me. I already know this building my strength. This just building me up. This is making me fit. This is building my confidence in me and in God. Like what Darnisha said, a lot of times we take things personally. We defeat ourselves before the enemy.
Mhm.
We don't have time to be defeating ourselves. Then he won. I like that about Joshua and Caleb. We studied this last night. We was really talking about this, and I love the fact that Joshua and Caleb said, "Yeah, we can take on these enemies if a 11-day journey turned into 40 years, and they finally about to get to the promised land. Why not? At this point, you ain't got nothing to lose. And
Right.
it encouraged me. Like, we didn't already got this far. So think about your life. Think about the journeys. Think about the things that you've already had to face, and you faced them. You got through it. So it's a small thing to a giant. What is this that you standing in front of now? You might as well just get to it. It ain't no going back. So they gonna go back another 40 years? Nah. Gotta move forward. So whatever's in front of you, it can be defeated. It's a mindset thing, and it's you not intimidating you. And once you can build your own strength up in yourself and God, you're not gonna be taken down easily. I know I'm not. Anybody that didn't fault me, no, I ain't gonna go down easy. I do know that. So I ain't going down easy.
Oh, come on. I was gonna say we know that a lot of times we are looking for solutions, right? Solutions to the problems. And just understanding that G.L.O.W is a solution to a lot of the problems that we are seeing and facing within the earth. And so it's just important for us to make sure that we are getting the tools, getting the knowledge and the wisdom that we need. And being okay that it may look different than what you're used to or whatever, but we just need to make sure that we're showing up prepared, showing
Yeah.
up ready, instead of just continuing to just wait for life to happen to us. We have to start allowing, moving in and taking over versus just sit back and hoping that things will change.
Can
I
I
think
just say something? Keep that thought, because I was thinking about something. I look on Facebook all the time, and I know it's funny. You get these reels and Instagram, you see funny stuff, you see gossip, but life ain't funny. So when you gotta face reality, like what Tatiana was saying, you better have some tools, because Facebook, Instagram, TikTok will not be able to help you. That's all I want to say.
I was going to say, Gail had mentioned something yesterday about offense and defense. Oftentimes, when you're fighting a giant, you can't be on the defense the whole time. You're gonna have to get your shots in, right. You're gonna have to be on a fence and not always defending yourself from whatever the enemy throws at you.
Right.
And so we have to be in an offensive stance, meaning I'm prepared. So if you come at me, I already got something for you. And stop always being on the defense for everything that happens in our life and having this woe is me attitude. Oh,
Yeah.
this has to happen to me. Why this is unfair. This is this. Now I have to fight this battle and I'm not quite sure how to do it. And and then something else comes up. So let's be on the offense. So when the enemy comes, we're like, don't worry about that. I'm prayed up. I can handle this. I'm out, as opposed to, ugh, I got to fight this battle again. Our attitude and how we approach these things in life is going to be a big benefactor, which is why you often hear in the Christian community say, oh, she doesn't, or he or she doesn't look like what they've been through, is because not only are they got God on their side, their attitude to their situation has changed. And so they're no longer in that attitude of thinking that life is just hitting them, but they're like, you know what, I can defeat and I can encounter anything that the enemy throws at me that I'm able to defeat it. So guess what? When you in winning season, when you on that, you don't you happy. Your attitude don't matter if you get to face the, for track analogies, if I know I'm facing the number one runner in the country in my event, and I know I've done everything I was supposed to do, and I'm mentally and physically prepared, I don't care. We never ran away from battles of running against the top people in the country because I did everything I was supposed to do. I'm ready to run. I'm a competitor and I'm gonna do my best no matter what.
Mhm.
You have to have that attitude in life, like, all right, see you trying to come at me, but I'm ready. So
Yeah.
I got something in my arsenal for you. I got God on my side. I got
Yeah.
these battle buddies. I'm ready. I'm ready to rock and roll. So you're not gonna stop this show going on over here, as opposed to immediately getting on defense, immediately getting down on yourself, immediately get into that woe is me attitude. That will have you going into battle so already defeated. Like Gail said, you going into battle already defeated, and we don't want that. I want to win, be at the end, and win.
Yeah,
Hmm.
it's time to win.
Absolutely, absolutely.
I just wanted to share this because I was telling Darnisha and Tatiana about this today. It's mighty strange how every it's not mighty strange. We know that we hear from God, right? So even the message today I was listening to earlier was about like victory, defeating your giants. And I was like, man, y'all, we was just talking about this. Like this our message for today too. So one of my mentors, Prophet Dana Reese, she just shared 30 minutes ago. I said, man, God is really good. She said, no enemy can defeat you if you refuse to quit. No matter what it looks like, don't stop. Keep moving. Your season will change. God is bringing you out and you will see victory. I think that's the bottom line. The enemy wants you to quit. He wants you to stop. What Tatiana said about suicide, wants you to take your life. You don't know the plans God has for you. So what you look like is a giant on the other side of that could be your biggest blessing, but you got to get to it first. It do take work. Life not easy. But at the same time, I'm willing to get to something, so I'm willing to go through something. That makes sense.
Yeah, and so we got to talk about that, about them getting on the other side because it's blessed on the side. If any of us had stopped any parts of our journey of getting to where we are today, we wouldn't be where we are today. We
Right.
just would not be here, what we're currently doing. I always say that me becoming a therapist is a God thing because it was definitely not a Darnisha thing. I had a totally different plan for my life. And God said, yeah, I got something totally that's not what it is. And so I did not foresee myself being in mental health. I did not foresee myself being a therapist. I definitely didn't foresee where we are today. But like the Bible said, his plans are better than our own. His thoughts are not our thoughts. And so he had already had a plan for me. And that just totally disrupted the plan I had envisioned in my own mind. But I'm so grateful for that. Of where he put me and who he put me with. I was the last of us to get my degree in mental health. I was the last of us to become a therapist. So I definitely thank God that he kept pushing me when I thought like, no, this is not what I'm doing. He kept pushing me. I kept trying to deny where he was trying to take me. But luckily, I got out of my own way, and here I am today. So for a lot of us, because we are allowing things to stop us, we're allowing the enemy to stop us in the midst instead of continue to going on, continue to seeking him, continue. If I would have just stopped where I thought I should be, stayed right there, didn't consult God, didn't, do what he told me, didn't allow him to order my steps, my life would be a lot different today. And I guarantee you I wouldn't be who I am today. That's for sure.
Mhm.
Yep. Anything else?
Nope, I don't have anything. That was good, Darnisha.
All right, ladies. Well, I think this was a dynamic conversation today.
It was.
These are things that we all encounter on a daily basis, and we need to, we want everybody to know out there that this is why Glow Stars is here. We're here. We can help you give the practical applications in your life with the biblical application in order for you to be able to face the giants that you're going to face in your life. Again, like I always say, it's not about if, it's about when it's going to come. And so we want to make sure that you're prepared for that you are on the offense and not the defense,
Yes.
that you have the mind frame and attitude to go into battle. And so I want to reiterate to make sure you follow us on all social media platforms, on YouTube, on TikTok at glow.star7, where we do post snippets of our video and other personal videos for you guys to check out. So please follow us on TikTok as well as on Facebook. And all the information is link is in the bio, as well as our email address if you have any specific questions. Glowstars101 at gmail.com. So I want to make sure that everybody has a blessed day today.
Defeat those giants.
Thank you.